So I'm a colossal nerd that plays Dungeons and Dragons, although the internet with its various streams of games and people making campaign diary videos has made it less of an alien thing that those weird people do. So, yay. But I would have never thought that the stupid crap that my friends and I get up to in the imaginary fantasy world would be interesting to anyone. I don't know why, honestly. Until recently. Then I realized that maybe it would be. So the details are unimportant, but I'll go over some of them that might be important and probably end up talking too much. But suffice to say, we had a friend that wanted to try DMing, running the game, being in charge of all of the people. And so we started out with a book campaign, Horde of the Dragon Queen to be exact, which we all later learned, is widely considered to be the worst book campaign for 5e that has been released so far. Yay! Most of the players were the same group that I'd played with before a couple times, but there were 2 new additions, including the person that was DMing. But the real thing that was different about this campaign is that it started in person, like we were actually meeting at somebody's house, and is almost always played in person with most of the players actually present. And to be like, well, yeah, don't people play D&D all huddled around a table in a basement, all dressed up as characters and stuff? Isn't that the stereotype? Yes! But that's not what we usually did. All of the games that I've played before, except my first one, but it was my first one, so it doesn't really count. We all started out using Skype and Roll20, mostly because that was just more convenient for everyone involved. And then things started happening where certain people moved away, and we played with people in other cities because people knew people and whatever. It was kind of easier. But this campaign specifically was born in our bi-weekly meetups that so far we had used to just play regular board games and stuff like Betrayal at House on the Hill and One Night Ultimate Werewolf and Bang and some really awesome stuff. Either due to that, the fact that we were all actually together, or just luck, or that our 2 new people were actually fans of Critical Role, as am I. But whatever the reason, we actually had pretty unique and quirky characters. We actually were playing characters as opposed to the just self-insert in the fantasy world and you just react as you would react. We were actually different. And so hilarity ensued in a lot of ways. So it being the quote-unquote worst campaign didn't matter because we were just being stupid. And we're still playing it, but I've already got a few great stories, and I know that more will come along. Heck, since writing this intro and now recording it, I have already got a new story. But first I should make a preliminary introduction video so that everyone is at least on a similar page, and the best way to do that would just be to tell the story of the first session and how almost all of the characters met. Off the winding main road, at the top of a hill, sits a buff blue female humanoid setting up camp as the sun begins to dip below the horizon. This is Rosalind, a merfolk pirate barbarian. She is on some quest to find someone that is tied to her backstory. I mean, I know the details, but it hasn't been revealed in-game yet, so... As she starts a fire and sets up skewering some groundhogs that she had killed along the way, the smell wafts over the countryside and catches the attention of another hungry traveler. A large, fairly intimidating red male humanoid wanders up to Rosalind and asks if she wouldn't mind sharing with him. Begrudgingly, she agrees, and that's how the hobgoblin fighter Daft Shield joins up. He's also looking for someone related to his past, and it's for revenge, 'cause isn't it always? And it happens to be in the same place, same direction, that Rosalind's heading. So then the 2 just kind of sit there in awkward silence, eating. Then Rosalind looks to her left and notices that there's a female gnome dressed in naturey attire sitting beside them that probably wasn't there a minute ago. The gnome plucks 2 berries from a branch tangled in her hair and eats one and feeds the other one to an orange tabby cat beside her and says nothing else. And so Maisie, the gnome druid, joins the party. She's actually heading also in the same direction because the development in the city that they're going towards, which is greenest, by the way, is interfering with the local population of groundhogs. And she has a negative charisma modifier. And for those of you who don't know, that's the stat that determines how well you can interact with others and if you can get what you want from the situation by talking. So the player, and by extension Maisie's answer to this problem, is to just avoid interacting with other humanoids and just laser focus on what she wants and just keep walking. Don't care. Don't want to have to roll a charisma check. Maisie's cat, whose name is Tibbles, wanders away a little bit to lay in what remains of the setting sun or whatever, and is approached by an abnormally large cat dressed in purple and walking on all fours with 2 dead birds in her mouth. The cat offers 1 bird to Tibbles, who refuses.
Your cat's not very nice.
And so my character, Zhuilong, the tabaxi monk, joins the party. Zhuilong was born a normal alley cat, but then one day woke up transformed into a humanoid, a tabaxi, and her mother and littermates were gone, presumably scared off by whatever happened to Zhuilong. She was found and taken in by a local monastery and trained as a monk, because they totally do that, right? And so she sits down with the others around the fire, eating her kill, and then dark clouds swirl around overhead, and a bolt of lightning shoots down right next to them. And in the smoldering crater left behind is a gray-skinned half-orc in a pinstripe suit. Enter Monty. He is a literal 1950s American gangster who tried to make a deal with the devil, and I guess just got some random fiend instead. So this fiend then decided that his new servant, who he gave magical abilities to, Warlock, would be more useful in an entirely different multiverse, and then just lightning blasted him there because that's how you do it. And yes, he talks with like a Godfather mobster accent because of course he does. And then a dragon attacks the nearby town of Greenest and the story begins. During session 2 or 3, can't remember, I convinced my best friend, who was also part of our gaming get-togethers but wasn't always able to come, I convinced her to join, and she rolled a cleric because we kind of needed one. And she's an ASMR cleric, ASMR, angel baby cleric, because of course she is. And because being a cleric gives her a holy symbol, and also because whatever background she picked, I don't remember. I think she just picked the generic cleric background of like acolyte or whatever. It also gave her a holy symbol, so she technically has 2 holy symbols, and we've decided that they're different. So she has 2 different holy symbols from 2 different deities, and one of them is Tiamat. So that's interesting. And yeah, that's the whole party. The end.